My name's Taylor Rice from Asheville, North Carolina, and I'm just interested. The photography aspect was really interesting to me, and I was wondering how far should you be able to see with the mathematical curvature that is mainstream science?
I guess I'll take that. The formula is not complicated at all. The way to look at it is 8 inches per mile squared. So the first mile is an 8-inch drop, and then 2 miles, it's 2 times 2 is 4 times 8 is 16 times 4 is 32 inches, and at 3 miles there's 6 feet. So there's a curvature calculator in the app, by the way. If you go to the web button and go to the curvature calculator, you put your eye height and the distance you're seeing, and we can see way farther than that with our naked eyes, let alone unaided, by camera zoom lenses and stuff. So a 6-foot-tall person on a perfectly clear day with perfectly calm water should not be able to see the surface of the water beyond 3 miles. That means your horizon is only 3 miles away, and if you sit down, it's even closer. Now think about if you've ever been to the West Coast, watch the sunset over the ocean, you would be seeing that sun intersecting 3 miles or less away from you. If there's waves, it's even closer. But when you look, you see that sun intersecting with the apparent horizon, I call it the horizontal eye zone, miles and miles and miles beyond that. So there's your answer.
All right, thank you. Does anyone else have a question? Yes.
Hi, I'm Jamie. I actually have a question for Otto. Where do you stand now?
You have to tune in to the sequel for that. That's the big, So when I first began this journey, Sarah and David had reached out, and they were going to do kind of like a promotional short so they can get the funding for this. And I turned it down because in the beginning I was like, really? No, people don't believe this. No. And so I kind of moved away from it. And then they called me back and said, hey, listen, we're going to go through with this. Do you want to really, think about it? And I started diving into all this. And when I first began, I was a total skeptic. I was like, no, I almost didn't want to believe it because, like I said in the film, how often do you wake up and question whether the earth is round? So I was like, no, this can't be true. But as I started going through the process, I will say that went from a total disbeliever to I'm completely open to everything I learned. And there's a few things about the firmament that I'm still wrapping my head about, but I'm completely open to believing everything that's on this documentary. So I'm kind of almost a believer.
What's your best reason you think the Earth is a globe?
No comment, no. I am not going into it.
My name is Bill Andrela. I'm from Bedford, Virginia. So I'm just trying to pull on every thread. And one question that comes to mind is, can anybody explain Aurora Borealis, and how that all works?
Do you guys want to take that, or do you want me to give it to the gentleman here?
So in the Bible, it talks about the throne of God. And it talks about how there is a rainbow resembling an emerald. That is the Aurora Borealis, the green color you see in the sky.
Hey, so my name's Kyrie, and I guess going back on the theory about being able to see a certain distance, I just want to know how we're so confident that we would be able to observe that curve, given how we're so unfathomably small compared to the Earth.
So that is a pre-programmed response that everybody has. We're so small, the Earth is so big, you can't see the curve, but then they want you to believe that you can see a boat go over the horizon. And the higher we go, the farther we see. And they used to say, oh, you can see the curve you've ever been on an airplane. So then we showed that you can't see the curve. And they go, well, you have to be in a MiG fighter at 70,000 feet. And the Mythbusters who are out there preaching, the lies, they had one camera they forgot to put a fisheye lens on, and it showed a flat level horizon. So then they go, oh, you have to go up as high as the Red Bull jump, 120 some odd thousand feet. And they show the curve, but if you analyze the land, the entire fifth of the Earth or quarter of the Earth is New Mexico, right? So proving that it's a fisheye lens that they showed in the movie. So the higher we go, the farther they move the globe post, and we never see the curve. So believing, we've been programmed to say we're just too small. A ball requires you to have a physical horizon at a set distance, depending on the size of that ball. That would be as I said before, at 3 miles, a 6-foot drop, if the Earth is the size that they tell us. We can see farther than that, right? And just believing that we're too small is just something you've been programmed to object to without ever thinking the question through.
Hey, I'm Yuri. I have a quick question. I know that the stars rotate counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere and counterclockwise in the southern hemisphere. How does that happen with the flat Earth?
It's east to west. They're not counter-rotating. They're all rotating east to west.
No matter where you are on the Earth, the sun, moon, and stars rise in the east and set in the west. If I'm watching the light come up from the floor over here and go across the ceiling and go over, it's going counterclockwise to me. But people in the back would be looking at that and it would be going clockwise for them. It's still rising in the east, setting in the west.
Why is it that the stars are southern hemisphere?
Okay. So if we're in a room, and let's say we're in a room, 10-foot high ceilings, and we have random lights, and there's a bull, and there's a horse or whatever, we're looking at the lights, and we're like, that's cool. Now we expand that room out to a couple miles wide, and I send you on a walk, right? Before you get a quarter of a mile away, I can't see you anymore because the ceiling and the floor have condensed. You're 2, 3, 4 miles away, and I can yell, but you can't hear me, so I call you on your cell phone. And I say, hey, look up. Can you see the bull and the horse that we saw? And you're like, no, I see completely different lights in the ceiling. And I'm like, the room is a sphere. Okay? And that's without adding an atmospheric layer of atmosphere, which literally, even on a clear day, becomes opaque over distance. So you have the atmospheric density blocking what you're seeing. You have perspective bringing everything down. Everything crunches into what we call a horizon, the horizontal eye zone, where we just can't see any farther. Now, if I had a super zoom lens in that room, I might be able to bring you back into view because we have a perfectly flat floor, but you see different lights in the sky than I see. That's why we see different lights in the south and the north.
Hey guys, I'm Kyle. When coming to truth, there's a process, an emotional meltdown that we go through eventually and until we come to that knowledge. When coming to that truth, though, it's easy for some to shut down at first. Is that better? It's easy for some to shut down at first. Others, they get super zealous. At some point, you get to a point where you want everybody to know that you truly believe this and you're going to stand on this. But with all that zeal, what advice would you guys give to sharing this information with friends, loved ones, anyone, in a correct way so that it's not so, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great question because I know when I first found out, my eyes just grow. It's hard not to look like the crazy conspiracy theorists they think you are for saying that, but planting seeds, showing little video clips here and there, don't be pushy. When you get really pushy with it, it kind of scares people away. They're like, okay, this is all you think about, it's all you care about, because it's not the ultimate truth, but it has pointed millions of people towards the ultimate truth. And so just know if it's somebody who's already a believer, it's different. It depends on the person. But, yeah, plant seeds. Do it in a humble way. Don't ever start insulting because they're going to give you an attack. Right? Usually they give you an attack right away, and your knee-jerk reaction is to go, here's another, let me say something that's smart alecky. And people are never going to come back. Once you make them angry, they're not going to listen. So trying not to make people angry, sending them love. Usually it's in the comment section. Everybody's keyboard warriors now in the comments. Send them love. I'm telling you. The Father showed me that in the very beginning of this because I had never been attacked to that degree ever. And so when the Father showed me that, just send them love, send them some kind wisdom, plant some seeds, they'll come back, and they have. People start coming back to you. So do it in a kind way and just plant seeds continuously, and whenever you're led to, and that'll help.
Hey, my name is Moshe. I'm from China, originally from China, now from Unicoi, Tennessee. So one of the biggest stumbling blocks that I had for accepting flat Earth was the lunar eclipse. And Dave, you addressed that it's not the Earth getting in the way of the sun and blocking the sun to the moon. But what is it? Like, I know it's a bit enigmatic, but I was wondering what you accept or what you think about what it might be.
Well, I'll just a lot of people, like we see with the firmament, and you have to think the firmament, if it's got a dome shape and there's a sun over here and a moon over here, you don't need a solid object to cast a shadow. There's waters above the firmament. There's multiple layers. There's all these things. There's also charges. Enoch says the moon gets its charge from the sun. Their charges can cancel out when they align. There's lots of things that we don't know. But the fact, like Dave said in the video, there's a type of that eclipse where you can see them both above the horizon. And so and the shadow's moving in the wrong direction. Yeah, it's the impossible eclipse. But yeah, it's most likely something in the firmament, or the Father just commanded it that way, like the way these clouds that weigh billions of pounds float above our heads. It's things that we never can really fully grasp because it's just masterful creation.
And it's okay to say you don't know. Like when there's a new moon, no one has ever seen the moon for, I think it's up to 60 hours. Once it goes new, no infrared lens, nobody from the International Fake Station, no one from an airplane, no balloon, nothing. No one's ever been able to see a new moon. So what does that mean? I mean, we should be able to see it under certain conditions, certain angles, but no one's ever seen it. And during some solar eclipses, there was one that was filmed from an airplane. There was like 6 or 7 orbs around the sun, and there's lots of old texts and stuff that talk about, K2 and whatever, the I'm spacing on the names, whatever. Some other bodies dark bodies in the sky. I don't know, okay? And I'm okay saying that, but what I do know is it's not the heliocentric explanation. There are some. I just don't know, and we have lots of explanations.
It's called circular polarization. You guys look up the Venn diagram paradox. When you get 2 polarized pieces of film, you completely block out the light. You had a third piece in the center and rotate it 45 degrees. All the light goes through.
I was just talking about that earlier.
It's a mathematical impossibility, but it certainly could explain a lunar eclipse if there is a third invisible body that does have a magnetic field in the center over the pole, possibly related to Polaris. Who knows? We don't know, but it is a possible explanation.
Absolutely. If one thing she said, if you get some polarized film, you look through one piece, it's very clear. Put another piece and turn it so it's completely opaque, and then add a third piece. Logic would tell you it's just going to get darker. It makes it completely opaque, completely visible again. So, looking at that and looking at the polarization of the sky, there's many explanations that we're trying to figure out.
And if you look in the book called Zetetic Astronomy by Samuel Robotham, I forget one of the astronomers in that book talks about a non-luminous object that possibly causes lunar eclipses as well. So there's a resource to look at for lunar eclipses.
Hey, my name is Ryan. I'm in Asheville, and I've been studying this up for about 7 years. Is that better? Okay. So Ryan, Asheville, studying this for about 7 years. And a lot of interesting aspects of this are out of reach for common people as far as experimentation, what can be proved, not proved. But maybe one of you guys could elaborate on measuring the temperature of moonlight and sunlight.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting we talk about moonlight. Moonlight is measurably cold. I was never taught that, and one of the things about the moon, and this kind of goes back to that question of why do we see different stars in different places. The moon, we've only seen one side of the moon in our entire life. It's never rotated even a single degree. It's always locked. We only see the face of it, and if you measure moonlight versus moon shade, moonlight is measurably colder than moon shade. And if it's reflected sunlight, that wouldn't make any sense. And that's an experiment that you can do, is test how cold the visible moonlight is. And And with the star question, the moon, people say, well, why is the moon upside down if you go to the southern hemisphere? Well, it's like if there was a moon sticker on this ceiling, and I'm looking at it from my perspective, it's going to be flipped if you go to the back of that room and you're looking at the same sticker. We're all both seeing the face of it, and it looks flipped. And I think for people who always go back to the globe model in their mind, they have a hard time understanding how it converts to a helios or a geocentric model where everything is above us and we're just all looking at the same lights. Different positions, but same system.
Hi, my name is Jeff Anderson. I had a couple seconds in the film there, and was a part of the original pitch. Maybe I'll come up next. But first of all, I want to say thank you for all the professionals and the cast for being here today. Really appreciate you putting yourself out there. And I know there's people in the audience that maybe were attracted to come to the film because, of course, they're enthusiasts. But then, there's others out here that are curious and maybe on the other side of that. I'm like Otto. I'm over here in the middle. Got to learn a lot about the film and the theories and everything when I met the director and some of the cast. So, no, my question is coming from a good place. I'm very curious. I'm curious to how you would explain seeing planets. I know I've heard some theories that say that those aren't part of the theory at all, that's all a myth as well. But a lot of us have had access to high-powered telescopes and seen them firsthand. So I'm curious what the explanation or theory is behind that.
Great question. Planets were a big seller for us to believe in the globe. We thought we lived on one. And I was reading the book of Enoch in my early days in this investigation, and there's a prophecy about them. They call them the chiefs of the stars, because Enoch is telling us how the stars work and how the sun and moon work and how their diameters and everything are equal, the sun and the moon. But it says the chiefs of the stars that we now call them planets. It says they're going to change their paths. Okay, so they had a prescribed path at creation, it says, and once that path is altered from what it was at creation, it says there's a generation of sinners to come that's going to lose their understanding about what they are, and they're going to take them to be gods. And every single one of them is named after a false god, except for Earth. And so it was a prophecy. I think it's Enoch chapter 80, is that right? And it talks about them. So it tells you that they're going to change their path. And when you look at the stars, they're the only ones that change their path. And so in my opinion, they're just the chiefs of the stars. They're brighter. They're for signs, appointed times. And they're lights in the firmament. That's why the hurricane on Jupiter is still where it was when I was a kid. It's still where your grandparents were when they were kids. And that weather forecast will be so boring on Jupiter because that literal storm is still there. It's because it's not a ball of gas reflecting light.
Hey. So the word planet means wandering stars. So it makes you wonder what it is. So the way I look at it, it's more like a more visible star than we see. But it's a wandering star.
I hope that helps.
All right. My name is Mike. David, Sarah, amazing job. All the cast, like everything that you said and all the knowledge that you have is profound, amazing to me. The one thing that I just feel like I want to ask is, with this information and with all the information that you've put out into this film, whether or not this turns people into believing about flat Earth or round Earth, because you have brought in the spiritual aspect and the belief aspect into the film. Do you believe that if people do not change their minds, does that change the course of people going to heaven, being close to God? Does that change anything at all? Or is it just strictly, kind of going against what we've been told our whole life? But because you brought the spirituality into it, underneath everything, is that more important than proving this right or wrong? I guess that's for anybody in the cast.
Basic answer is no. So I told one of my cousins this, it's a truth, but it's not the truth. So it just adds to the message. The reason why it's in the film is they're really related. Because when you have, we grow up in this idea of a globe, and it becomes part of our religion because we don't have facts, we don't have any other thing like that, so we just assume because somebody told us this is true. So it becomes it's a religious topic in itself, but it's connected with the scriptures, and so even half the cast are believers, or maybe more. So it's in their life. It expanded their belief even more, brought them closer to God, and that's why it's in it. It's not a salvational thing, but it's a key. It's part of it. It brings people closer to God.
So depending on who you ask, if it's salvational, because right there, okay. Because Josh can piggyback on this, that there's people that have been atheists, that they come to the truth about flat Earth, and then they're like, okay, they lied about that. Big Bang, evolution, what do we got left? Oh, there's the Bible. Let's start reading that. And they believe in the Creator. So it might not be a salvational issue. I'd say it's not. I agree with David. For somebody that already believes in the Creator, lives the Scriptures, so on and so forth, but somebody like that, and I've also heard of, from people that's reached out to me from my Back to the Covenant YouTube ministry, is even Mormons, with their cosmological understanding, the flat Earth topic brings them into walking out the Scriptures in their lives. So depends on who you ask, but I'd say it's not. So you want to share, Josh?
Just a little. I was already a believer when I became a biblical earth believer, and I had miracles happen. The Father's mercy and grace poured out on me, no matter how foolish and ignorant I was. He showed me He was real. And I remember looking up at the stars and going, I know you're trying to show me something, and that's when I asked Him to show me the truth about creation, and He did, and it brought an already born-again believer so much closer. It's directed my path in ways, because I thought, am I supposed to preach? What am I supposed to do? And the amount of people that I've met and the amount of testimonies we've all seen, I'm talking hundreds of thousands of people, like Matt was saying, that came to the Bible for the first time. They said, I don't even have a Bible. I have people say, I don't even have a Bible. I'm going to go buy one, okay, for the first time ever in my life, and I'm 70 years old or I'm 60, like all different ages. And I just don't think that me preaching the same message that I was preaching would have done that, but showing people the truth about creation, it tears away all the lies. It's powerful to already people that are already believers.
So just imagine how many atheists, and this is a question that you can answer, how many atheists do you think there will be if the true knowledge of the true nature of the universe is known, right? How many atheists do you think we'll have? I think there will be zero. That's my own answer to the question, right? That's the significance of this truth, right? It might not be the truth like David just said, but when Paul was speaking in Romans, I believe, that creation is there and people have no excuse to deny a creator and to disrespect him, right? Only the true nature of the universe would kind of lay sense to that statement, right? Because like if people still believe, including Christians, including people that have a faith, that the false cosmology is in fact true, right, then what Paul said there doesn't really make much sense, because really it's arguable. Really, there's room to argue that there's a Big Bang, there's evolution, there's deep space, there's outer space. But if the universe's true nature is really known to all, people will truly be without an excuse except blatantly fighting against the Creator and denying that they performed this great act of creation. So I think that's the significance from a spiritual. Okay, yeah, I don't remember it from the top of my head, but yeah, it never made sense to me. Like reading that part, like, well, why would Paul say that when it's really arguable that it is clearly evident that he's the Creator? Like, if I didn't believe in flat Earth, then what Paul said there doesn't really make much sense to me, right? Because I can argue that it is not clear to me that there's the Creator. But once you see the true nature of the universe, it was clearly engineered.
Tom Dexter from Myrtle Beach. I don't have a question. I just wanted to give y'all thanks. If it wasn't for y'all that have YouTube channels and for putting that out there. I'd still be deceived by a lot of the doctrine that's out there in Scripture. And I want to thank you for putting together this movie and those involved and for making this happen. Because I don't feel alone. I don't feel alone anymore, and I want to thank you for that.
Teresa from Myrtle Beach. I want to commend all of you for your acting, or I mean, just not acting because you're being yourselves. But I have such a hard time struggling with the question that you asked was an argument that we had. And my husband is brilliant. He has spent many hours researching at the beach, doing his own, but I struggle with understanding. So there were some points that you made that I went, oh, and he's going, really? But anyway, my question is, any possibility of being able to purchase this movie? Because I would love to give this as gifts to family and friends for their knowledge and for their learning.
I secretly filmed it on my iPhone. Call me later.
Just look it up at one of those pirated sites, you know. So the idea is to find a distributor to try to distribute the film without them stashing it like they did with Sound of Freedom. And then if they don't, then we're just going to do it ourselves. But it's going to be out in a few months. We're interning into some film festivals as well. So we are going to do DVDs. Yeah, we're going to put some DVDs. It's going to be more like print on demand kind of DVD thing. Yeah. So it's going to be out there.
Hunker.
Hi, my name is Tom. I live in Chattanooga there, so most of us are neighbors. My question is, since you guys have stood up, and we know what you stand for, but the vitriol between the two groups, the heliocentric groups and the flat earth people, do you guys personally see that it's getting worse, getting bigger, that divide, that vitriol hatred, if you stand up on one side and say this versus the other side? What do you personally think about it? Is it getting worse?
I do want to say that I personally think it's more on the internet, but it's less in person because I have so many conversations every single day with non-believing. Do you know what I'm saying? And they'll listen to me, they'll hear me out, and they're so polite about it. But it seems like in that internet circle, people are less friendly. And I think it's because they're hiding there. I truly, that's what I think.
Yeah, I was going to say is that a lot of times there's problems in the heart of people. And so whenever something that is their belief, part of their belief system, that comes out. It doesn't matter if it's flat earth, it could be just faith, it could be other different topics, but when it's deep rooted in somebody and they have a bad heart, they just they just throw it at people. And it's on both sides of any type of topic, even different types of denominations of churches, you know. So it's just a heart problem.
My name is David, and the Bible talks about a fourth corner, but on the flat Earth map, or even on a globe, they don't show a fourth corner.
Yeah, that goes back to the definition of the Earth in the circle of the Earth, because the Earth it just says the circle of the dry land, and people say, well, see, it doesn't have corners. Well, he's just sitting above a circle of dry land. It doesn't talk about beyond that. And so the world is not the Earth. The Earth is just dry land. The world is the heavens and the earth and the seas and all of that combined. So the world is different. It could be shaped like a footstool, whatever shape it is. We're going to find out soon. But we don't know the exact shape of everything. But we know the world as a whole is mostly flat.
My name's Layla, and out of all the stars in the galaxy, how come only one doesn't move?
Okay, I'm taking questions from 12 and under.
Why does only one star not move? It's because the world isn't moving, and it's the stars that move, and so you're going to have a stationary star somewhere. There's got to be a center point that they go around, and they all have prescribed paths. And so that one star that doesn't move ever, it's just a part of the Father's design, and it helps guide people when you're navigating. He put it there for a purpose, signs and appointed times.
So in the Bible, it talks about the sides of the north, and that's where the throne room of God is. And so I believe that his throne is stationary. And when we look to the north, that's where he is. So that's why it doesn't move.
I'm Carolyn. I'm from Woodruff, South Carolina. I wanted to tell you I consider you all family because you're my brothers and sisters. We all have a love of the truth, and that unites us all regardless of religion. So thank you for putting the resources and love into making this documentary. I really appreciate you getting it out there and bringing an attention to the truth. I wanted to know what it was like to do this documentary. What was some of the biggest struggles that y'all faced and came across while making it?
The toughest part of the movie, I will say, is the fact that I absolutely hate New York City. And the day that they chose to film, it was sleeting. It was 37 degrees. It was windy. And they go, hey, let's film on the Brooklyn Bridge. Okay? And I literally had a heated vest on. You saw I had a hood on the whole time. I was dying. I was hypothermic when I got home. And I had to lay in bed for 2 days. So it was the absolute worst day ever.
I totally concur. We were talking about it. It didn't make the final cut, but I'm sure our conversations were like, man, I'm kind of miserable right now, you know? It's like, we really believe in what we're doing right now, you know? We did have a couple incidents. We had one gentleman that started following us on, remember that? Okay, so we had just finished the Santa Monica shoot, and we had one gentleman that all of a sudden just wanted to antagonize us, antagonize me. And he's like, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, right? And I'm like, dude, just keep your distance. And he kept following us, and I was like, oh, man, what's happening? But eventually he let up, and he chose another victim, and nothing. Right? That's right, he did hit the other gentleman. Right, so, yeah, you never know what you're gonna encounter when you shoot in Los Angeles or New York.